let me ask you this, and just be honest. Do I need all these glasses?
Oh, I did not realize you were wearing two, but now that you have pointed it out. Oh, Harry. You're so ridiculous.
Oh, I know. So crazy.
Oh.
Yeah. And as you know, I don't drink much anymore, but I do make exceptions for certain people, one being Debbie Gillis and one being Komil Gajrawala. And after our little Q&A, he goes, "We're having long lunch, right?" And I was like, "Oh, you mean like wine lunch?" And he's like, "Yeah, like a 3 or 4 hour lunch. That's what we do. That's what we're good at. We've done it all over the world. We've done it in Paris. We've done it in London. We've done it countless times in New York." So we're in Miami. My flight was at 3. And I switched it to a 9 o'clock flight. And we went, and Dave Williams joined us for a part of the time. And we just had a blast. It was so fun.
My gosh. That sounds like a blast from the past.
It really
in Miami, having long nights. Yeah, did he take you to a date club?
No. No, it was just like a nice Italian restaurant. We still managed to spend a lot of money. Yeah. I don't know how. I guess the wine, Komil, he's like Nick Modi. He picks the expensive wine.
Right. The most expensive wine, yes.
Yes. The waiter's name was Harry, so we had that going on, and we were making him laugh, and he was giving us free desserts, and we were just the hottest gay couple in Miami Beach. I mean,
oh, God. I won't say anything about that. So I'm jealous. I love Miami, and that sounds like fun. So did you, I guess we'll wait till Bianca comes on, but obviously I want to hear how the speech went. We obviously covered Dave's comments, who will speak at our summit. I just love Dave, by the way. He's such a nice guy and very smart.
Yeah, he really is.
So
really is. I enjoy spending time with him too. He's just like his dad, but he's just a little more like
cool.
Even keel.
I mean, he's cool. He's bump, but cool.
I would like to welcome everybody to BeerNet Radio and our Wednesday Warehouse segment where we talk about the week's news. I have Jenn Litz-Kirk coming out of Austin and Bianca Bruno out of San Diego. Yeah, we've had a little bit of news here going into the holiday week. I went to New York in the first part of the week for Benji's seminar, the Beer Marketers Insight seminars. He had it at a different place this time. It was nicer, so that was cool. And I'll say two things. One is I had written a commentary that was, taking the big brewers a little bit to task for not investing enough in the U.S. market, because the game of M&A is over and the game of even emerging markets is kind of over. And so maybe my contention is, how about invest in the U.S., where just a little bit of growth makes you a lot of profit? And I got some blowback from that from both Molson Coors and AB. And Kyle Norrington spoke at the conference, and he did make it clear, I think he was talking to me.
Calling you out, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't name me, which I thought was really classy not to, but because most people just do. That jackass Harry Schuhmacher's in the crowd, But no, he said they have invested more this year in the U.S. behind their brands, and he went through and a lot of it's Michelob Ultra. I mean, that's just their new workhorse. I mean, they do have the UFC and the NFL with Shane Gillis for the Bud Light stuff, but Michelob Ultra will be an NBA, World Cup, Olympics. They're just going to go heavy on the on Michelob Ultra, and and he pointed out that Busch Light, Michelob Ultra, Neutral, Kona, all growing brands, all on the high end except for Busch Light. And yeah, I mean they do have, and especially in more recent months, I'll concede that their trends have gotten a little better. So that was interesting. The other thing that I enjoyed was the CEO of Sazerac, Jake Wins, and I don't think I've met him before, I mean, maybe I had with like Bill Goldring or something, but he just seems like a real no BS kind of guy, and just told it like it is, how it's going. You know, like somebody asked him, "Is there a bourbon glut?" And he was like, "Yeah, probably." You know,
Nice.
you never see CEOs
Yeah.
just spit truths like that.
Yep.
And he talked about their distribution moves to moving a lot of their brands to a beer network. He said, you know, they still have great relationships with their wine and spirits wholesalers. You know, he said, we have just a huge portfolio. We have, I can't remember, it's like 900 brands or something. It's ridiculous.
Jesus.
From very high end Poppy Van Winkle
Yeah.
to an airplane bottle of malt liquor that they sell, you know, at checkout at a Circle K. So he said it makes sense to have a mix of distribution so that you are hitting C stores in those markets. And he said that Economos was really the one that, you know, they couldn't do it in Georgia because I guess there's like franchise protections for spirits there or something. But when Economos bought Colorado, he said, all right, let's do the move. And also, of course, Bill Goldring is a partner in the Molson Coors distributorship and Constellation in Phoenix and New Orleans. So, and he used to have a piece of RNDC. So, you know, Bill's had his fingers pretty much in everything in the industry somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sazerac. Anyway, my point is, seems just like a great company. They're, you know, he sang Mark Brown's praises, who preceded him in that role, and he said, you know, Mark never met an M&A opportunity that he didn't love. And that's why they have so many brands.
There you
They'll
go.
just buy anything. They're kind of like the Tilray of spirits. They'll just buy anything that anybody doesn't want.
Well, very high end version, right?
Yeah.
So,
You know, I wanted to wait until Ben's thing was done before we announced our speakers, so I didn't, you know, step on his toes. So we announced our speakers on Monday.
yeah. Well,
And
today, basically.
or today. It's Friday. My week is so screwed up. Sorry. Yes.
Well, Friday.
I thought today was like Tuesday. Okay, yes. Today's
Oh my
Friday.
God, Harry.
Yes. Anyway, you can go to beernet.com. We have a full agenda up. There are a few TVAs in there that we're still kind of working out, but it's a great program. And Jenn, got to thank, props to you for setting up most, if not all, of our beer speakers. And then Sarah did a great job on wine and spirits as well. So check that out. And so, you know, and then I'm sorry I'm hogging this. I'll quickly just say that then I flew to Miami for the Jefferies Consumer Conference. I was a guest of Ed Mundy and Komo Gajrawala, and they had little meetings with consumer goods companies. Heineken was there, AB was there, I think maybe Diageo was there, and Dave Williams and I spoke right after each other. And if you read Beer Business Daily, you can see what Dave said, because I covered it pretty extensively. But I thought it was interesting, and we talked about this at lunch afterwards, that we're kind of both in the same spot. Over the last month or so, or 2 months maybe, I've been developing kind of a theory or a narrative in my mind about how the beer industry, it looks to me from my experience like we're going to have a really good year next year. And there's just been so much noise with COVID, seltzers, Bud Light, the mad shift to RTDs, you know, and non-alc. There's been just a lot of turmoil in the shelf sets, and I think we've cycled through it all. And of course, the best way to have a good year is to have 2 shitty years. So we've done that part. We're poised for growth. And anyway, Dave's data backed up my gut vibe feeling, and so that'll be my theme for my opening speech at the summit. I really do think like this is the worst is behind us.
Yeah.
And spirits ain't doing nothing. They're and that's another thing that came out of the conference, is that AB, as the market leader, is investing more in the U.S. while Diageo and others are investing less because they're selling less. And the wholesalers are not happy about it. When I say wholesale, I'm talking about Southern and RNDC. And Breakthrough, they're kind of pushing these big spirits companies to invest more when they're down so that we can turn that ship around. And so that's another reason why I think beer has tailwinds.
Yeah.
So and then also they're going to shut down a lot of this D9, I think, like in Texas. I mean, I'm not happy
Texas
about
is
it.
the one to watch.
Texas, yeah. I mean, and I bought some just in case, load it up here, but I can't keep it in the house. My son drinks it. So,
yeah.
I didn't even get to buy it in California before they
they
axed it.
no, Bianca, you need to be Johnny on the spot. You need to get
I know.
So here's the question, though, because a lot of these companies just ship. Will they ship to California still? I mean, even though you got to take it off the retail, right, per the emergency order or whatever, Trail Magic ships, a lot of them ship. So you can probably still get it that way, right? Which,
yeah, I don't know how they're going to wrap their arms around DTC at that point. Yeah,
right.
That's a good point, Jen.
I don't think they have said anything in the executive order against that, right? Because the whole thing was the imminent danger to children,
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that is one, obviously, component, the DTC, that, the beer industry seems to be concerned about too. And the whole interstate commerce and all of that stuff to be sussed out, which you can also hear about at our summit because we're going to have a D9 panel. And we haven't revealed everything about who's on that panel yet for strategic reasons. There are people coming out with products that have not announced it yet, and they will be part of the panel. So stay tuned.
Wow, you've got me all intrigued.
Harry's like, wait, who's on our panel?
Yeah, I've been kind of out of it, but I will say there was a guy on the D9 panel at Benja's conference who I don't know if he stole my line on purpose but he said, this stuff's heavy. talking about DTC because it's really not a way to make a business. Like if there's too much labor in packing it, and then the postage on top. It's just it's tough to scale.
Yeah, it's just a marketing tool, basically, right?
Yeah.
So shall we get to some of all the news that broke yesterday, basically?
Yeah. So tell us about what man, I leave town and then all hell breaks loose.
So Lagunitas is getting a new CEO after Dennis Peak, who's the current CEO. He took over from Maria Stipp about 5 years ago. So he is out. It's not clear yet where he's going to, but he's part of that Heineken platform. He's a Heineken vet, and the incoming CEO, his name's Bernardo Spielman. Am I pronouncing that correctly? He's the current CMO for Heineken Panama, and he's starting there in January. So they're really pulling from that Heineken pipeline for their executive leadership at Lagunitas, which I think is part of the criticism from the craft beer folks, is that Heineken, like everyone else in craft, has struggled the past few years, but I think the craft beer purists are upset that this big, multinational conglomerate is kind of leading their business decisions, and that could be part of why it's struggled the past few years.
They're just mad because they're not going to be able to continue to smoke weed in the brewery.
In the tap room.
Yeah.
Right.
In Petaluma.
It's not weird anymore.
It's not cool.
They are coming out with a new beer that has terpenes in it.
So. Terpene. This is something that Heineken has always done. They move people around the world, and their view is that finding good leaders is more important than finding people with knowledge of the market. Because Dolph Vandenbrink came from like Haiti or somewhere. He got moved around. It wasn't Haiti. It was like
it wasn't Haiti. I forget where.
It was Papua New Guinea or something just rough, right? Somewhere you would not. And he went and turned it around, and then he came here, and then he went to Mexico. Now he's CEO of the whole thing, and so they do move people around. And I used to be more critical of it, and when I was younger. I've kind of come around to believing that it might be a good way to build leadership, because you want to get promoted in that company, and so it really motivates you, even if you have to live in Papua New Guinea for a while. And usually the U.S. is the last stop before you get into the big ranks in Amsterdam.
Yeah. But if it's just about the leader, then it's like, Lagunitas itself doesn't matter so much. It's just the testing grounds.
Well, I mean, does it? Does it matter that much? I mean, to them, it's immaterial.
Oh, to them, right? And they acquired the other half of it in 2017, right? Back when Kraft was still doing okay, and if they could do it all over again, who knows? I mean, as we've seen all the other big brewers, who knows if Lagunitas will stay under Heineken forever? But and of course, they closed Chicago too this year. A few months ago,
and they've written it down too, right? I mean, I don't remember writing that, but I'm pretty sure they've written it down off their books, at least the equity and the valuation that's blue sky is what I mean. Obviously, they've written down the brewery. There's also, there's always chatter about M&A when you're hanging out with sell-side analysts, always, because that's how they make their money. A lot of them make their big money. So it's like, who's going to buy it? So there's a lot of chatter. Is it Heineken and Molson Coors, or is it
who's going to buy what? Or
each other?
Okay,
merge. There's a lot of chatter about Heineken and Boston Beer. The general consensus is that Heineken is way underscaled to be a standalone in the U.S., and Molson Coors is increasingly becoming underscaled.
So let's put them together,
right?
Yeah.
But
who knows?
Will the Feds allow it?
It'll be interesting to see what happens to Boston, because of course Jim's thing has always been, my succession plan is to not die, right?
Yep.
And obviously,
so far it's worked.
So far it's worked, but that's not going to last forever. And again,
well, I don't know. We don't know that, Jen.
We don't know
be a vampire for all you know.
I will say that Jim was at the Beer Insights conference, front row, taking notes furiously. So it doesn't look like he's retiring. He's at least giving a performance that he's not retiring.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
And he'll be speaking at our conference as well next month or in January.
Yeah, I know. I keep thinking it's next month too, which is crazy. It is upon us, though. The other big, of course, craft news was the late-breaking Brewers Association reorg, whereby they reduced 6 positions, about 11% of the BA. They reorganized the direct reports to the structure, the direct reports to Bob Pease. So now there's 5 people reporting directly to Bob Pease, including, of course, Bart Watson, and Mark Serini, and Ann Obenchain, and who am I forgetting? Dr. J, and somebody else. I'm so sorry, somebody else.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're trying to forge a way forward for the BA, which, geez, they have their work cut out for them, right? I mean, their whole... I know B has some thoughts on this, but just having covered craft for a long time, I don't know how they're going to do it. I know that obviously when Bob came in as CEO, craft was flying high, and their whole thing was they made it a religion, right? It was us versus them, no fizzy yellow beer. It was a movement. They were one of the few trade organizations that interfaced with the actual consumers, right? With GABF, that sort of thing. None of that is on the table now, right? And they've been on their back foot because of COVID. And, obviously their events haven't made nearly as much revenue. And I'm sure they have much less membership dues coming in. I mean, their operational net was, down 77% year over year. And so I don't know what the answer is going forward for them. But I hope
it's
they
like
figure
herding
it out.
cats.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have all these different kinds of business types, right?
Right.
Increasingly, the new brewers that open are tap room or brew pub models. They're just own premise, right? And so that's basically the restaurant industry, which has a high rate of closure.
Are they looking for a replacement for Bob Pease?
They're still interviewing people to replace Bob. And now we have some theories of who it might be, but so I don't know if B wants to talk about that.
You want me
to? You don't have to. we can float some names. It doesn't mean it's happening.
I'm
my
game.
my early gut was Bart Watson, but now I'm not so sure because he's already been named something else, and it could have been already. Maybe not. Right?
And does he want it?
Right? Does he want
I
it?
mean,
And
you got to spend a lot of time in Washington,
mm,
and
yeah,
you got to live
right.
that life.
Yeah,
Which,
and he's got young kids, I think. So
yeah, I mean, Bob was good at that.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit where credit's due, but it's just hanging out with the staff of congressmen. I can't think of a worse job. I mean,
like Matt Gates.
yeah,
Talk to
I mean,
Matt Gates.
hanging out with his staff, a bunch of frat boys.
Yeah, I wonder about Bart because it looks like his role has changed a little bit with this reorg. Now his title is VP of Strategy and Membership.
It looks like to me that they're splitting up Bob's job, where the part about dealing with the brewers and their issues is going to Bart, while government affairs will go to the new president. So my bet was that they hire a professional lobbyist, government affairs person out of Washington that comes from the snack food organization or the concrete producers, or
that
kind of like the BI did.
Turkey Association.
Yeah,
Oh, but Brian came from the hotel industry. That's just a step away. It's still hospitality.
yeah. I mean,
the chimney sweeps.
the chimneys. Oh, chimney, blimey, governor. The top hat.
Oh.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
chimney sweeps. No, I mean, you're right. And Jim McGreevy went to the Coca-Cola
Soda. Yep.
people. So I don't, but I'm just conjecturing. I have no idea. Maybe Bart does want it.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Bart, if
If we're just conjecturing about your life.
about your life. Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah.
Good week. We'll be publishing through Wednesday next week, and we hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. We probably will not be recording a BeerNet Radio next week, but we'll be back the following week, and we just hope everybody has a good time, and we hope you sell a lot of beer. That's all.
Wait, there's one more thing we had to talk about. Sorry.
Of course.
Real quick, I just saw this today. Prime is countersuing Mark Anthony for Moss Plus now for trade dress infringement, whereas before, a month or two ago, Mark Anthony had, I think, sued first for declaratory judgment or summary judgment because Moss had already threatened them like, hey, this is infringing. So like preemptively, Mark Anthony Brand sued them. Now Prime is countersuing, and we've got the documents and we're writing it up for Monday. But when you see them side by side, and they talk about like how in hydration, they're the only ones that have like the custom color and the matching top and the black letters that take up the entire front face and the way that they're oriented and the eye configuration of like the main ingredients and title and things like that. And are looking for an injunction now. Whether they'll get it or not remains to be seen. But
the name is completely different.
The name is completely different,
Yeah.
but the way that the bottle looks, and when you put them side by side, that's their argument. Now, obviously, we're not lawyers, but
I'm like, God, that seems like a stretch. But I mean, Stone sued Molson Coors for Keystone Light,
And that's still ongoing.
It's still
I know,
ongoing.
right? God.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, that's another thing that we covered this week, that Bianca covered this week.
Yeah. So don't look to me to handicap that one. Well, listen, I would love to just sit here and bullshit with you two all day, but I must prepare my dogs so that I can go under the knife. Anybody want to buy a basset hound? I got one. I'll sell them to you cheap.
Oh,
In fact, I'll pay you to take him and potty train him and then give him back.
he's not potty trained.
Oh my gosh, Jen, he's so stubborn. He'll just stare at you and just go, right? And you're just like, no. Like, what do you... Well, we will see you folks back here in 2 weeks, and have a great holiday. Take care.